So this is a quick 3-minute demo of how to connect into a Sophos VPN firewall as a client and download the software and the configuration settings so that you can connect into a work VPN. And then I'll show you quickly how you can get into your shared network resources and also to remote into a computer if you choose to do so. So I'll start by going to the link that I know connects me to our firewall, our Sophos firewall. And this would be a custom URL used for a client specific to their firewall. This happens to be ours. And I get a security warning because of a certificate mismatch, but we understand that, and it's, in our case, we're just going to ignore that. So I type in my username, and I type in my password. And I type in the CAPTCHA, which apparently is an addition to our configuration. Okay, I know I had failed. I failed because we have multi-factor authentication turned on. So I have to now look at my smartphone and look at my Google Authenticator. And there's an extra code that has to be added at the end of my password every time I log in order to make sure that it's me. So it's a double level of security. P8, 2P, and K. And let me log in before that changes. Okay. So I accept the agreement, which is warning me that this is a private network and I have to be authorized or have the authority to access it legally. Otherwise, it's a crime. Once I get logged in, it takes me automatically to the SSL VPN page where I download the client and the configuration for Windows. I'm just going to download it to a local temp folder. Then I open that folder and I run that client. So that client contains not only the software for the VPN connection, but also all of my configuration settings so that I don't have to know as an end user anything more than my username and my password to connect into the VPN. And specifically, we always recommend to clients that their username and password be something different than they use when they're at work on their network, so that if one of the two credentials gets compromised somehow, the other one will not be compromised, and therefore there's an extra layer of security so that if you're not using the same username and password on both VPN and the network, then somebody at most can get into one of the two, but not both. All right, so it's installed. Let me go down here to the, there's an icon in my system tray that I can right click on and choose connect. And then I type in my username, I type in my password, and I type in the Google Authenticator code. It changes every 60 seconds. So if somebody were to get a hold of my username and password, it does nothing for them unless they happen to have my cell phone also, and we're able to log into my cell phone. So after a few seconds, I should see a pop-up come up automatically telling me that my SSL VPN is connected, and now I have that. So now when I go to connect into my work office, my office systems, the hard drives, the drive letters that are mapped to my computer that show us offline, when I click them, you'll see they actually come back online. So now I can get to my client folders, I can get to instructions, documentation, pretty much everything that I would have access to when I'm sitting at my work computer as far as data files and folders, I have access to from here. And so as you see, I can click on my different folders and I have access to them all. However, if I wanted to do what a lot of our clients do and not just get to data files, but connect to my work computer sitting at the office, then I would run a remote desktop connection and simply type in the name of the computer that I want to connect into at work, you'll see now it's wanting my network credentials, the one that I use when I'm sitting at the office. And of course, I do not check Remember Me because I don't want this computer, if anybody should ever break in, to be able to log directly into my work computer without knowing my password. And if I check Remember Me, oh, and I happen to have left an old article that's from 10 years ago. My hair is pretty long back then. So now I'm connected into my work computer. Everything that I could run, when I'm sitting at the office, like going into my, Microsoft Word, going into my email, everything that I could do when I'm sitting at my work computer, I have access to sitting from at home, including printing back to my local printer here at my home office. So literally, this is just like sitting at my computer at work, running my applications, looking at my data files, doing everything that I would normally have access to. And you'll see that I have the same mapped drive letters. I've got the S drive. I've got the toolbox drive. And when I'm done doing my remote work, I simply disconnect from the remote desktop. But even disconnected from the remote desktop, I still have access to all of the drive letters. So these days, I very rarely have to remote desktop into my work computer. I can just sit here at my home computer and pull up data files and work on client quotes, and write up documentation and all that, all without even having to remote into my work computer, as long as my VPN connection stays active. And when I'm done, I can either choose to disconnect my VPN session so that I'm no longer accessing the work files. But to be honest, my wife and I tend to stay connected all day long. And then at the end of the day, the VPN chews up next to no bandwidth whatsoever if we're not actively accessing files. But at the end of the day, we can choose to disconnect if we want, or there's an automatic setting that we have configured so that after 8 hours of connectivity, the computer will automatically disconnect from the VPN. So that's pretty much it. Looking forward to meeting with you today, and I hope that we have the opportunity to work together. Thank you very much. Have a good day. And I'll see you at 11 o'clock.